podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.
All right, Tom, how's it going?
Yeah, really good. We won a game.
I know, amazing. I mean, we won. It wasn't very good, really, was it?
No.
No, I was waiting for the part where, in the second half, United totally blew it. Because Norwich were creating chances. So we won the game, but we got out-XG'd by Norwich, the bottom team. Yeah, I don't know whether that really means anything, but we didn't blow it. Somehow, our favourite, Cristiano Ronaldo, who we've never doubted either morally or on the football pitch at all, have we? Came up with the goods.
He did, and it's lucky that he did because I didn't look like anyone else was really going to score, to be honest. Like, we had a lot of ball around their penalty area, and we just didn't really look that threatening. And even when Ronaldo's free kick didn't really look that threatening when he took it, and then you're like, how did that go in? And then I don't know if the feed I was watching on, because obviously it wasn't on TV over here, the commentator was going mad. He was like lauding him so highly, like, oh my God, what a strike from Cristiano Ronaldo. I was like, I'm sure the keeper must have surely done better there. And you see the replay and it goes straight through Kroos' hands, yeah.
Yeah, it definitely should have stopped it. I guess the unusual thing with that is not Ronaldo scoring per se, but actually getting one on target. So, which he hasn't scored a direct free kick for a while, has he?
It doesn't even look like scoring either. It's not like he's come close a couple of times either. It's just been, wild a lot of the time or into the wall.
Yeah, I do wonder with that kind of thing, his percentage is like 5% or something like that. I can't remember what the exact number is of goals to take in. It might actually be lower than that. And is that so? That shooting in those situations feels like the low percentage move, and dinking a ball in or constructing something else feels like a much better move. United are actually second from bottom in terms of goals scored from set pieces this season, direct or indirect, corners, free kicks, whatever, which doesn't really sort of paint a good picture of our new free kick coach or set pieces coach, does it? It doesn't appear to have done a great job, although I'm not sure he did much about Ronaldo's knuckleball technique, to be honest. I don't think that's been him coaching it.
Well, two this weekend, because obviously Ronaldo's header was from the corner as well.
You're right.
And all I can think of in my head was the other one against Tottenham. Yeah, we scored a header, and I can't even think of any more.
I think it's 3 or 4, something like that. It's pretty low though.
Yeah, it's weird with the free kicks, really. Like, we obviously know how amazing he is at striking a ball, but when it's like a dead ball situation, it's so often that he doesn't even hit the target. He doesn't even make the keeper work. And I don't think he was unbelievable the first time when he was at United with free kicks and stuff, but he did score a fair few. But I think it's just a matter of getting it on target. He hits the ball so hard, and surely he can at least like pick a corner, like even if it's just goalkeeper side every time. Because like you talk about like the percentage, if he's at least hitting it on target, you could get a rebound, you could maybe win a corner or something. It's just almost like trying too much to go over the wall every time, because it's clearly not working for him. Maybe if you just go goalkeeper side every time, it might be a better option, or give it to someone else maybe. But he scored this time, so
yeah, I know. I did see Juan Mata like hovering around the ball. I was like, mate, just no, it's not going to happen for you. No one's believing this decoy, and you've got no chance of hitting this one.
Exactly. Like, Krul's not going to be put off by you, is he, when you start to inch towards the ball?
It was the second game in a row that Juan Mata had come on. I was like, what's going on here? He's putting him in the shop window.
He was really good, though. He was really good.
Look, he's got the legs for about 3 minutes worth of action, and that's about what he's getting at the moment. I haven't got a bad word to say about Juan Mata. He's going to leave with his head held high. He's never really been a success per se, but he seems like a nice chap, and he's had his moments.
Yeah, the goal at that bicycle kick at Anfield, or the scissor kick at Anfield was a proper good moment.
Anfield will always be remembered, yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, coming back to this game, what do you think about the lineup? It was interesting that there's no holding midfielder, basically three attackers. Paul Pogba was basically the deepest of the three. I'm not really sure I exactly saw him as a libero type. But I thought he wasn't, but he used the ball well. At least, I mean, I'm not going to expect him to do any decent defensive work because he's had a career not doing any decent defensive work. But it wasn't really needed. United had 60-odd% possession. As Norwich started creating chances that you're like, is anyone plug this gap?
Yeah, I think every defensive transition was terrible for United, which is completely to be expected when you see that team. Like you say, Pogba has no defensive nous about him. Maybe no defensive desire either, and that's maybe why the fans got on his back so heavily. I'm sure we'll get into that in a second. But yeah, in terms of the lineup, I can 100% see what Rangnick's thinking. This is probably what I would do on something like Football Manager if I was playing the bottom team in the league. Just basically play all the attacking players and hope that the opposition aren't good enough to take advantage of it. And you say that they won the game in XG. Also, there were chances where they just messed up the final ball on a few occasions. Like it was like 3-on-3 or 3-on-2 even at times, and they're just so bad that they didn't even get a shot on goal. So obviously those chances wouldn't even have been put onto XG. So I mean, defensively and in those transitions, we were terrible, but to be expected. But the problem is when you got that much attacking talent, you expect to be creating chance after chance. I know we were in their half and, like I say, around their area a lot, but Krul didn't make too many saves. He didn't make too many amazing saves, and Norwich's defence is poor. Like I would have expected more. I thought we actually started quite well and quite fast.
Yeah,
but as does kind of happen with United, if we don't score immediately, or even if we do score immediately, we just slow down. Like we can't keep that intensity for throughout the game. I thought Lingard was energetic. I actually quite liked that. But then the thing is, I don't really want to see Lingard playing because he's not going to be here next season. I don't really want to be seeing Pogba playing because he's not going to be here next season. I don't want to really be seeing Matt playing because he's not here next season. That's the problem. With kind of here, who's going to come in and replace them? I guess I want to kind of see Hannibal or Garnacho, but they're not really ready, are they?
They're not ready. I mean, Garnacho's definitely earned a place in the squad. I think he's been pretty good for the under-23s from what I've seen of him anyway, which is not every game by any means. But yeah, I mean, United had 20 shots yesterday, but a lot of them were miles out, very low XG chances, mostly Cristiano shooting because he'll shoot from anywhere. Lots of shots. It looks like United had 60% possession and 20 shots, but I don't think that's really the story of the game. The 3 goals, 2 from set pieces, again, all low quality. United should be spanking Norwich, who ship a lot of goals, are bottom of the table for a reason. And this was a team packed with 6 attackers, basically, who individually all had a decent game, but weren't able to put it together as a project, as a team for that game in a way that was completely dominant. And a lot of that is, as you say, because of the weakness on defensive transition, the risk that Rangnick took in picking that side, not picking Matic, I guess, which he's done. And he's made the substitution Pogba for Matic quite a lot, hasn't he, recently? It was a risk he took. It just about paid off for United, but on another day, Norwich convert one of their chances because they had a lot of shots too, Norwich did.
Yeah, De Gea made 2 quality saves as well.
Yes.
There was the Pukki chance right at the start, and then the Kosovan lad had a really good opportunity where at 2-2 as well, where De Gea made an awesome save going down to his right. Hit that him. He was a bit wasteful at time, but at times him and Pukki actually caused us quite a lot of problems. Which, it's fine that we won the game, and that is good, obviously. But when you do look like this susceptible, and your goalkeeper's having to bail you out on a couple of occasions, and you're only winning by 1 goal against the team who are bottom of the league at home, it kind of puts it into a little bit of perspective, really. Great that we got a victory, but I mean, surely we should be expecting this at home. And you're also right with like what you say about like individually, like it feels like everyone did play well. Like Lingard had some really good moments. I thought Sancho looked threatening on the left a little bit. I thought his kind of spaces were taken a lot of the time by Lingard because they were almost operating in the same spaces a lot of the time, and that is kind of the problem. Like I thought under Rangnick we'd start to have a lot more patterns of like visible patterns of play, attacking patterns of play, but we don't really.
Yeah.
It still looks like a jumble sale up there. It's like really,
It does.
Yeah.
I can't explain why, really, because it shouldn't be the case. Rangnick, I mean, look, it would sound reductive to say, well, he's only coached two seasons out of the last 10. He still knows what he's doing. He's the father of modern German sort of tactical systems. He's not playing that system. There is no high pressing counter press from United at all. It was really noticeable against Norwich. Even the few times Norwich had it and were trying to play out from the back, there's no trigger there because Ronaldo's not going to do it. And so he's given up on his sort of core values, but it's not even a kind of discernible pattern to what United are doing. I guess Ten Hag will start again. And presuming it's him, after they've played the cup final today as we record, maybe more will leak out next week about the agreement there and which coaches are coming. And I imagine that Ten Hag he'll get a very fresh start because we know 5 players for sure are leaving, and there's probably another similar number that should leave. So it will be a fresh start, and maybe we'll get that pattern. But something tells me that a lot of these players have been under Oli and Mourinho before him, and now Rangnick and Carrick, and we've never had that. It's not going through, is it? Something's not happening in the old grey matter that actually says, like, whether it's willingness to do what the coaches want or actual intelligence on the pitch, something's not quite working. And it was true yesterday, like some brilliant moments from all of them. They probably all got great scores on or SofaScore or whichever ones it is that gives them a who scored, because great moments from all of them, but as a kind of collective didn't quite feel right.
Yeah, and that's, you kind of think, like I said on the last pod then, what is Rangnick for? Like he clearly isn't motivating them in the right sense. And we surely probably I would have thought we brought him in to lay the foundations for the next coach. That's what it felt like from a tactical perspective, but that's not happening either. So he's almost just like I said also on the last pod, that he's the man who is just finding like a fact-finding mission. That's his role at the moment, which is...
Yeah. Well, and he's kind of said that, hasn't he? He said that, I don't know whether we talked about it last week, but he said that after the last game. Oh, and actually in the build-up to the Norwich game, the presser on Friday, he was like, I've told the board what they need. And he called out the players for not finding any consistency. I don't think he talked about their motivation, but he probably should have done, because it seems to be a problem. There's just that few percentage points of intensity lower than it really should be. And the maddening thing is both Spurs and Arsenal are completely inconsistent. Arsenal lost 4 of their last 5 league games. The opportunity has been there for United. And partly the coach, a lot of the players, I imagine they've just not grabbed it. And there's not enough for them as a collective to grab this opportunity, and I think they're going to end up regretting it, probably. I mean, like, only 3 points behind Spurs, it could still happen, but you look at United's last 7 games, and you're not going to say any of those are a gimme at all. United, I suppose, could win them all, but it's hard to. I mean, you'd have to be really optimistic, wouldn't you, to say United are going to get much out of games against Liverpool and Chelsea, and then it's Arsenal, Brentford, Brighton, Palace.
All tough games, all of them are in form.
Yeah.
And you also think, I know this might be quite a simplistic way to look at it, but you think a lot about the motivation of the players, especially the ones who aren't going to be there next season. Like, are they going to be that motivated to finish 4th? Like, I know it might be simplistic to look at it maybe just in that regard, but that these players are human after all, and like, sure, they'll want to play well, but will they be trying as hard as maybe Arsenal, who are desperate to get in the Champions League with maybe some of the youngsters? Maybe they're actually like their desperation is hampering them because maybe it's making them a little bit nervous or whatever, or Tottenham with Conte, who's going to be like drilling it into them. The problem is, like you keep saying, the chance is there for us. Like it's really like screaming for us. If we go on a run now, we can easily just go and grab that away from Arsenal and Tottenham. Well, we will do it. I think is it pretty much in our hands because we've got Arsenal to play. Maybe not. Maybe it's a couple of points either way. But you can't see that.
I think Spurs have to drop some points. Yeah,
but I think they will. And the problem is, we will as well. Like you look at those games remaining. Brentford are flying at the moment. Eriksen's looking class, and they've got they're buoyant. They're going to stay up, and everything's going well for them. Brighton have just beat Arsenal and Tottenham. Chelsea a bit hit and miss, but they're obviously a really good team. Arsenal hit and miss again, and then Liverpool don't really fancy watching that game at all, to be honest.
No, we'll do a preview of that one in a bit, but yeah, no, every game's tough. There's no consistency in this group at all. Even yesterday's victory, it could have gone the other way. I mean, we've got a free kick which is super low, percentage chance that went in. We got the header from the corner. United don't score too many of those, and we're gifted the first one, basically. Yeah. I mean, that was actually an example of counter-pressing, wasn't it, after I said we wouldn't do it? But that's what you can get if you do it consistently against teams that aren't very good.
Yeah, exactly. Like Ben Gibson or whatever, who had an absolute shocker. Yeah. If they're going to play out, then yeah.
Exactly.
You will just get freebies.
So I don't know how much we can draw from the victory. It was important, some confidence, 3 points, all of that. But it wasn't a great performance. And you're right. So 2 players in Lingard and Pogba won't be there next season. I guess they're playing for a move, although I suspect with Pogba it's already been sealed. It's one of PSG or Real Madrid by the looks of it. Yeah. And with Lingard, maybe he's going to make the move to Spurs that could have happened in January that the club blocked, or to Newcastle that the club also blocked. We'll see. Juan Mata's definitely leaving. Matic came on as a sub, announced before the game that he'll be leaving as well. He's got an extra year on his contract, so presumably they've come up with some kind of deal for him to go. And Cavani, who's not motivated enough to get out of the treatment room. Yeah,
and he gets a free ride from the fans. Like I've said before, I love Cavani and what he brings to United, but at least like Pogba's actually turning up and playing, and he gets that abuse.
He got abuse yesterday, and I thought it was totally unjustified. And I don't know. And Rangnick said afterwards why they shouldn't single out. He can understand fans' frustration, but they shouldn't single out a single player. And he's absolutely right. They shouldn't. What did Pogba do yesterday specifically to get that abuse?
I honestly don't know. I really don't know at all. It really, it really bemused me, to be honest. I thought I heard it initially, and I was like, I've got to go on Twitter just to make sure I actually heard what I heard.
Yeah.
And to some extent, I can understand United fans' frustration with Pogba. He's been a complete disappointment in so many regards. But like, there's surely players who have done a lot worse than Pogba, like Cavani. For it, I know Cavani obviously wasn't playing, so there wasn't. He couldn't have the ire directed at him. But he didn't play that badly, and like he's still turning up every single week, putting in decent-ish performances. I think he's been okay recently. He's not been like Rashford levels of bad or anything like that.
Not at all. I mean, he has got that kind of air about him of lack of intensity, but that's just Pogba, and he did some absolutely stunning stuff on the ball as well. But that's never been appreciated. In his early years with United, he was United's most creative player and always used the ball progressively. And before Bruno turned up, all the attacking metrics went through him. And it might not have shown up in assists, but all the passing build-up moves went through him. I think when he gets the ball, he's still one of the 2 players with Bruno in the team that is able to move the ball forward in any kind of consistent and creative fashion. And so overall, the package, if you look at the cost and his wages and the impact that we wanted, it's been disappointing. Of course it has. But he is nowhere near as bad as it's made out by some sections of the Twitter community. And I was just surprised that it's found its way into Old Trafford. I don't like it, I've got to say. And clearly I'm showing my age here because the time I went to the most football ever was in the 90s, and that just bloody wouldn't have happened. And there were plenty of disappointing players. So it just feels off. I don't like it, and it shouldn't have happened.
No, I can understand getting mad with the team and like booing and whistling and stuff like that. I couldn't, like I said on the last pod, I can almost not encourage it, but I can completely understand like getting mad at the team. But singling out individuals, Ranić's completely right. It's unfair, and it's just really harmful and really not nice at all. Like, imagine just receiving that. Like, he saw like a big grin on his face when he heard it, like being like, what else are you going to do? It's really horrible to take. And then you've got to walk towards the Stretford end as people are shouting fuck off at you or whatever. Like that, yeah, it's horrible. And I think with Pogba, like, he is an unbelievably talented footballer. And I don't think his like languid style and the way he makes everything look so easy helps him. It's like in the same way as Berbatov, United fans never... a lot of United fans never truly took to Berbatov because I think there was that perception with him that he was a little bit lazy, but it's just his style, and that style of football can produce some incredible moments at times, and then at other times look like they don't care and they're lazy. But I don't think that is the case. It's just their style of play.
I think it's a little bit of English disease as well. Basically, English fans' DNA is sort of, get at them. It still is that.
Yeah.
And that's why there'll be, if United put a player in who's technically more limited but runs around and puts in some tackles, the fans don't get on their back. Look at Scott McTominay. He's technically very limited and doesn't use the ball very well at all, and a useful squad player. I'm not having a go at Scott McTominay. I'm just making a comparison, but the fans will never get on his back, even though he produces less. So it's about expectation and perception. And I'm just like us, really disappointed that happened. And I know he's going to leave, and overall he'll be seen as a disappointment for United, especially given the cost. And he'll be leaving the club on a free for the second time, which is a pretty special place to be in. But yeah, he didn't deserve that. Plenty of players in this squad have been worse than him. Yeah,
and yesterday he got given the responsibility of the whole midfield because there was no one else who was going to like screen the defence or do the tracking back or do the defensive work that Pogba basically had to do on his own. Like I said, defensively in transition, every single time we looked terrible, but that was Pogba all on his own, and he's not a defensive midfielder.
And I think I'm right in saying it's Ramadan at the moment, and he's fasting as well. So it can't be helping his training, and he's playing through it. So
it's not like I can understand like when Di Maria came back to United and was whistled and booed and stuff. Like I can understand it with someone like him, but that means that when Pogba is going to come back to Old Trafford, imagine the crowd are going to whistle and boo him, and I don't think he deserves that. It's not like what Di Maria did for United, or even. Like I say, what Cavani's done to United, what Cavani's done is so much worse. And like not playing every week, and I hate that when players just do that and just like check out essentially when there's still season to go. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe it does go deeper than we're talking about here, but I don't understand it personally.
All right, it feels like a good point to talk about some of the other stories this week. And so we had everyone reporting that Ten Hag has been done over the past week. So I assume that has been done. The I's have been dotted, the T's crossed. And apparently he's been a real stickler for what the contract looks like, and we'll see which of his coaching team are coming with him. There's been a lot of speculation out there about Robin van Persie or Jaap Stam or some kind of connection with United, and presumably because apparently Erik Ten Hag's English isn't awesome, and which is unusual for Holland, because I swear to God, like you go to any random person when you spend time in the Netherlands and they all speak perfect English, even to the point you're like, they're just winding us up, really, right? They just speak English here, and so
they just put shushes on the end of things, and that's literally it.
Yeah, amazing. But anyway, apparently it isn't perfect. He's from they say the east of the Netherlands, but it's about 5 miles outside of Amsterdam, isn't it? 20, you know.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's he's from that part of the Netherlands, and apparently they make fun of him a little bit because of that. He's got a slightly different accent. These yokels. So anyway, look, it seems it's all done and dusted. So everyone is now gone from being an expert on virology and then war to being an expert on the Eredivisie. I'm definitely not. I don't know about you. I've seen Ajax's Champions League games. That's it. But it tells us something. He's a modern coach. They set up in a nice way. It's 4-2-3-1 or 4-3-3 every time I've seen Ajax. I don't think we're going to be completely shocked with how he gets United to play. Whatever players he's got, that might be the shock. There aren't going to be many left. I guess we've got a sense of what the future looks like under him.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how he fits Ronaldo into that team as well. If Ronaldo does stay, like, is he going to, like, I guess in some respects, like, Haller is a little bit similar. He's not the most dynamic striker in the world. A little bit more energetic, I guess, than Ronaldo. But, like, would Ronaldo fit into a Ten Hag system? I don't
think so.
Think so. But the problem is going to be, like, there's going to be a huge problem if he does stay. And I imagine the commercial side of United are probably desperate for it to happen. I would say probably. They are almost certainly desperate for that to happen. He keeps scoring goals.
God, I can't even look at United's various social feeds. It's just like constantly.
Oh my God.
He does something that isn't falling over in training, and it's on the Instagram, isn't it?
Yesterday as well, I know it's not Ronaldo related, but when the Glazer protest is going on outside, and about 2 minutes,
we should talk about
about 2 minutes before the fans are about to march into the stadium, the Twitter account posts about the United fans in America celebrating the goal and stuff. That's where your priorities clearly lie. Not that there's obviously anything wrong with that, but it's like, they're completely ignoring the big elephant in the room over there. Sorry, complete tangent that. But I think that's going to be the one biggest thing, because you can build a team as much as you want. You can have all your systems in place. You can play pressing football. You can have all your attacking patterns. But if that central striker, the person who initiates the press, the person who needs to be a focal point for the team, who shouldn't be drifting out wide, which he does at the moment, or drifting or dropping deep or whatever, if he needs to fit into the system like a rigid point at the top, if that's Ronaldo, that's a problem, and everything else that happens around him is a problem. And also not just tactically, mentally as well. Like, if he's not playing every game, he's playing poorly for a few games and he has to be dropped. What does that effect have on the dressing room? Like, having an enormous ego.
Not a good one.
He's basically the sun being in there, and everyone else is revolving around him. Which it should be Ten Hag should be the sun, and everything else revolves around him.
Yeah. Well, we'll see, won't we? And look, if I was Ten Hag, I'd be wanting to bin him. Mm-hmm. And I know we're saying this after he scored a hat-trick, and he's got 2 hat-tricks in his last 3 games or whatever.
It adds to the problem that he keeps scoring goals and winning his games.
Well, there's this kind of derivative thing that's on in the Twitter sphere now, is like kind of Saki, sure, Ronaldo's the problem. He is a problem, and I think we can be nuanced enough in a podcast in a way that doesn't happen on Twitter or other socials, to say he can both be a player who's very good at putting the ball in the net, still got that, and also a real tactical problem for anyone who wants to play any kind of modern system. So he can make the team worse while scoring goals. And he's got 21 goals this season, but I don't think he's made the team better. And I couldn't honestly say, and I'm not saying this just because I don't particularly like him as a person, I couldn't honestly say United wouldn't have scored more goals with someone else in there. And of course, look, the choice wasn't Ronaldo or a other striker. It was a purchase made right at the last moment and driven by United's commercial ambitions rather than anything else, because the guy has 100 million followers on Instagram, and you look at through all investor presentations, it's all about media reach, all of it, right? Nothing about football, all about media reach. And so he's a very key asset in that media reach, because he's a huge channel for getting United's commercial message out there and demonstrating to commercial partners, look how big we are. We've got this 100 million multiplier on all our commercial activities. So He's very important from a commercial perspective. From a tactical and team perspective, I think he's been a disaster. Honestly, I think he contributed significantly to Ollie getting sacked. Whether you think Ollie is a great manager or not, and I'm not really on the side of him being a particularly good manager. I didn't think he did a particularly good job, but I think it completely disrupted everything he was trying to build. Yeah. And I'm comfortable enough on a podcast to be nuanced enough to say Ronaldo is bad for the team, even while he's scoring goals.
Yeah, and like under Ollie, we were progressing. Like you say, we might not have done amazingly well, but we were progressing every year. Maybe too slowly for my liking. I think a better manager would have progressed. We would have progressed faster, but we were progressing. And this season, when the one big change to the team and also to the club was Ronaldo, maybe. But then I guess on the other side, you can argue, yeah, like if let's go with that argument that he isn't the problem. The problem is, if he isn't the problem now, he will be in 2 years when he leaves. And if we build the team around him next season, like how short-term thinking is that to do that? And we won't be able to replace him if we build the team around Ronaldo next season, which is completely daft in my opinion. But like some people may argue this, the season after, he's not going to be here, or if he is, he'll be 30, whatever he is, 8, 9. Like, we need to move on past Ronaldo. We talked about last week about Ten Hag. We need to give him 3, 4, 5 years. It took Klopp 5 years to truly get the best out of Liverpool. If we're going to give Ten Hag 3, 4, 5 years, why not just start with a blank canvas now?
Yeah,
and get rid of players like Ronaldo. We're getting rid of players like Pogba. We're getting rid of players like Matic. Like Pogba has been part of the United team for ages, and we know how super talented he is. But I don't think there's many United fans thinking, oh yeah, we really need to hang on to Pogba because he's super talented and under a new manager he might be amazing. No, we're just moving on past that, and he's a problem in so many regards in terms of the way he plays. And it's the same with Ronaldo. Like I just go in and sign someone like Darwin Núñez, 22, and if Ten Hag thinks he's the solution, then go with that rather than a 37-year-old who we might get one good year out of now and then in end of next season, then he's gone. What's the point?
I worry about the impact if Ronaldo stays. And let's paint a scenario which I don't think is realistic from a financial perspective, but let's just imagine that United go and get Núñez and spend 50, 60, 70 million euros on him, whatever it's going to take. Is Ronaldo going to be happy on the bench? Are you going to play Núñez off the left? I mean, He plays in a 2-striker system at Benfica. Neither of those scenarios look good. And for me, Ronaldo's wider impact, which is supposed to be, there's this narrative, he's a senior player, inspires other players in the dressing room. I don't see that from his behaviour, where he's sitting on the steps sulking publicly, undermining the manager or smashing kids' phones. I don't see his behaviour as being... I know, it's like... Can't say that without laughing, right?
No.
But he's not modelling great behaviour either, right, as a pro. So what is it that we're supposed to believe is the model here? That he trains hard? Oh, fucking hell. If that's the basics of what you're paid to do, go and train. Who was it that said you're paid to train, not to play? I can't remember. There might be a Bielsa quote. And so I just don't see the net as being very positive for United. And again, saying that the day after he scored a hat-trick. But if I was Ten Hag, that would be the question I was talking about. And I hope Ten Hag's smart enough, and I think he probably is, from what I understand, reading all the profiles on him, smart enough to have interviewed the club as much as they interviewed him. Step up for him, and he's had a slow burn career, but it couldn't half be ruined by going to United with a bunch of players leaving, not being able to install the tactical system he wants because you have to play Ronaldo, and probably not getting all the players you need in order to progress. It could be a disaster for him. And if I was Ten Hag, I'd be going, what's happening with this player and this player and this player? And I'd want to be really sure about that before the ink is dry on that contract.
Yeah, because obviously it's a tantalising prospect to manage Manchester United. And if you turn that down, I can imagine many people would label you unambitious. You don't believe you have the capability in yourself to turn around this club. Like, you can understand that side of the argument, but then on the flip side, it's a huge risk for him, because if he fails poorly at United, one, his confidence could be smashed to smithereens, and two, I guess look at the managers since United. They've been at United. Only Moyes has managed to turn it around after 7 years or whatever that he left. 7 or 8 years or something. Like Mourinho. I mean, Mourinho was already on a downward switch anyway. But if it doesn't work out for him, he will be. He's at the peak of his powers at the moment. He can go to a lot of different clubs. He can choose a lot of different clubs. He could maybe stay at Ajax another year and go somewhere else, but he's choosing to go to United, which is, it's a brave move, because we are a basket case, and hopefully, like you say, he has interviewed the club and he thinks, this is a great fit. They're going to allow me to do what I want, and get rid of Ronaldo and bring in my own guys. And
yeah, well, we'll see. Maram Al-Bahana, Maram per 90 on Twitter, who writes for The Athletic these days, did a really good sort of data-driven analysis of United's squad. It was tragicomic in a way, because it was just like, here's where United are fucked, and here's where United are fucked. And so I read that and I thought, Jesus, Ten Hag has got a big job to do to unfuck this, basically. He won't be able to coach his way out of all of that. I'm sure he'll back himself to be able to get more out of Sancho and get more out of Rashford and whoever's left in the midfield department. But he just can't coach his way to progression, I don't think. There are too many holes and too many players leaving. 5 that we know of definitely leaving. And so it's Cavani, Mata, Matic, Pogba, and Lingard. Defo leaving. Tahith Chong will leave as well, but he's not part of the squad, obviously. So that makes 6.
And that's not even talking about the players that we actually don't think are good enough. I'm thinking like Wan-Bissaka and Telles here.
Yeah, Wan-Bissaka and Telles, I mean, I can't see a scenario in which they leave because United need the squad numbers. They won't be able to do the deals for replacements.
But Telles was terrible yesterday.
Yeah.
He's been bad for a while, but he was terrible yesterday. And I just don't think he's good enough for...
No, I mean, he was there to push Luke Shaw along, which worked for a season. Basically, it looks like Shaw's going to miss the rest of the season, having had those pins pulled out of his leg. So, there's just too much. I mean, and you look at the saleable assets, there's almost none. I mean, Anthony Martial, but he's on such a big wage that it's going to be very hard to get rid of him.
And he's had such a terrible time at Sevilla that are people really going to want to buy him?
No. So it might be another loan away, or maybe Ten Hag backs himself to get something out of him. Maybe. Mm-hmm. I mean, Martial's been clear about wanting to leave. I think he said in an interview this week he'll surely, I think it's the translation, surely be back at United. I'm not sure what that means exactly. But there's no deal to be made for Bailly. Henderson's probably the only saleable asset, and then they'd have to get in a backup goalkeeper anyway. And Henderson's on a mega wage as well. And it's whoever's been running Ed Woodward, basically, who's been the director of football for the last 10 years. This idea of giving new contracts out in order to retain the asset value is back to front, because it doesn't retain the asset value because the wages are so high in comparison to the rest of the similar quality players across the rest of the European leagues. So United have to drop the price in order to get rid of these players. And so, I just don't see where the money's coming from to do this mega reset, which is why I think Rangnick's talking about 3 windows. In United have done 12 deals across the last 8 windows. So there's no capacity to do loads and loads this summer.
No. It'd be interesting to see how much we do rely on the young players as well next season. There are a lot of young talents coming through. And you've seen with Arsenal, playing a lot of youngsters, how beneficial it has been for them. And their business, I think, was pretty smart. They didn't splash masses of money. They made a few good signings, for cheapish. And maybe that's the market we need to look at, players whose contract runs out next summer, and look at that type of talent. The problem is that most of our windows have been basically signing players for commercial reasons, and that has to change, obviously.
Yeah, well, we'll see whether Murtaugh has the power to do that. And it seems to be that Murtaugh and Fletcher are the brains trust here. and Arnold is prepared to allow that to happen. But the push from the commercial side of the club is strong. Alrighty, shall we talk about what's coming up next?
Yeah, it's really scary, isn't it? It's like a storm's coming.
Oh, God. I mean, I said earlier, you look at Tottenham's fixture list, they've got a few tough ones in there. We've got a few tough ones. The opportunity is there, but then, like, Liverpool at Anfield, Liverpool chasing the title. Paint me a scenario in which United can get something out of this game.
De Gea plays unbelievably well, and Ronaldo scores a free kick in the last minute, and we win 1-0.
Yeah, that's it, isn't it? That's it.
With our first shot on target. Yeah, we're going to have to get massively lucky. However, having said that, I don't think Liverpool have actually been that good since the international break. Against Palace, they weren't particularly great. Benfica last week, I know they rested a few players and they were kind of already through. They weren't great either. Against City at Manchester City Stadium, they were very lucky to get a draw that day. I don't think they were obviously good in that game. They were a lot better than what we played against City. If they played that well, they'd still beat us. However, I don't think they've been in sparkling form. They've kind of been like doing the business, winning their games that they need to win, rather than blowing teams out of the water, which they were doing another part of the season.
Well, Salah stopped scoring as well, so I think that's...
I know they've obviously got huge talent to just kind of switch in for Salah if he is playing poorly. Like, they have 5 players that could play in those attacking positions that would get into our team straight away, which is a crazy situation that Liverpool is like that these days, because throughout my whole life that has been completely opposite way around. Anyway, I don't think they're actually in that great form, but this is just me putting a huge positive spin on it, because we've been terrible for ages. But if you're going to get yourself up for one game that you've got left as a United player, and under Rangnick, no matter if fourth place matters much to you or not, like, this is a game that will make you a hero if you score a winner or you play amazing. And we have got the talent when they play well to go and put a good performance against them. I just can't see it. I think we might play well for 10 or 15 minutes, but as soon as adversity comes calling and maybe we were going 1-0 down or something doesn't break our way or something like that, these players just will under any type of adversity, under any type of pressure. And that's just my big worry. I think we can play well for 10 or 15 minutes. We could even take the lead or whatever. It's just sustaining it for 90. Tactically, they don't listen to what Rangnick says for long enough, and again, if adversity comes calling, then they throw that tactical game plan out the window, and mentally they're just not robust enough. Like, they're just weak in many regards, or maybe just don't care enough. And like I say, this is their one chance of just caring before the end of the season, before they leave the club. And maybe Pogba might feel like enraged and might want to go out there and prove a point on Tuesday night. Potentially, he might even feel the other way, like become apathetic. I don't know. But yeah, there is a tiny, tiny, tiny chance I think we could get a result. But I just can't see it, to be honest.
Yeah, it's really hard to paint the picture that United managed to pull this one off. It would have to be... I just wonder whether there's anything that Rangnick can come up with, which is a different... Does he go to 3 at the back? Does he... Because he's without Fred and McTominay by the looks of it, again. So where's the defensive screen? Well, what's going to stop Liverpool's overloading in both wide and central areas and running past United's midfield? It's hard to see how United stop Liverpool creating a lot of chances. City did it by having a lot of possession, basically. And even then, Liverpool scored 3 goals. So in the cup semi yesterday, and from not many chances. So the United it's just really hard to work out a way that United can do this apart from playing ultra defensive and Dave having a miracle. of a game, which he's capable of doing as long as they don't put any crosses in.
Yeah, which they will loads, and like Pogba's not going to be sprinting out to block those crosses on the left hand side, is he? Matic isn't, or if he's playing on the right of a two with Matic, and Matic isn't going to be going sprinting out. Well, I don't think Matic is actually able to sprint anymore. Like that, the dynamism of those two defensive players, if they do play as those two screens in front of the back four, is I mean, it's like Sunday League level. Like when you put them in the Premier League, that is a huge worry. And someone like Trent and Robertson just having the time of their lives in that right and left back position, and it's very worrying when you look at it as a tactical game plan.
Just don't lose 5-0, lads. I mean, just got absolutely battered at home by this lot. Have some dignity for the love of God, please.
You think if Liverpool go 2-0 up early, then it could get really, really messy. Like I say, we don't deal with adversity at the best of times. I can imagine they're just giving up straight away if they go 2-0 down.
Awesome.
Sorry to be really, really positive about that.
Great stuff. Well, I guess we'll end on that super upbeat note. United won yesterday. We
won a game.
We won a game. It was against the worst team in the country. Well, are they the worst team in the country? Everton looked like they were the worst team in the country, and they managed to beat us. So.
Yeah, Norwich won a game last week as well, like us.
True.
So they're on a bit of decent form, so we put an end to that good form.
All right, well, backers, stay tuned. Patreon.com/NQ80pod. We do 15, 20 minutes each week on other stuff around football. I guess we're going to talk about Cup semis, Premier League, Champions League stuff, what's going on with all those, because now some Champions League semi-finalists. I mean, I guess we can look from the outside because United aren't going to be back in that competition for a while, by the looks of it. Sadly. Relegation issue is kind of interesting. Burnley blew their chance against West Ham to get a really important result, but we'll see with that one. And maybe some financial fair play stuff, because more stuff came out about just how bent City are. All right. See you, everyone. All right. Hi, everyone. This is the backers bit. By the way, I've sent all the mugs to people in the US. I had to check in with Paul because he was supposed to do the UK ones, and then I've got to do the international ones. There are a few of you who have yet to get an NQ80 mug, including Tom. I need to send you a mug too. I
know. Missing out.
Yeah, I think since you're on this here show, I think you have got friend of the show status.
So in many regards, as soon as I joined, we have been absolutely terrible pretty much every week. So
yeah, well, but I mean that predated you, so the correlation, not causation. So.
Yeah, predated me by about 5 or 6 years.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, Champions League, kind of interesting quarterfinals. When I guess the big result was Villarreal holding out against Bayern, which they're just organised really well, Villarreal, in these European games, but they've not been great in La Liga this season. They don't score enough goals, obviously, but they got the one and held out against Bayern.
And the famous Man United beat them twice in the group stage, did we?
Yeah. Definitely the one at Old Trafford. That was Ronaldo right at the end, wasn't it? Did we beat them away as well? I think we did.
I feel like we did. Yeah. Like, so we're better than Bayern Munich. So
basically, yeah.
That's literally what it means. 100%. Yeah, it's really disappointing in Bayern. Like, they've been inconsistent in the Champions League this season and the league. They got battered by Hoffenheim earlier in the season, and they've had some really, really random results. I really expected Nagelsmann to take them to a new level, almost like the same level that Pep took Bayern to. Yeah. I know he didn't win a Champions League with them, but like in the league, they were just absolutely dominant, and they played some great football in the Champions League despite not winning it, or even like what Heinkes did, and it's just not really happened for them so far under him. They've been super inconsistent. Maybe it's a team that is certainly aging. Their better players are aging. I guess the spine of their team is aging, but they still have loads and loads of talent. They're a team that won the Champions League 2 seasons ago and should be beating Villarreal. Like you say, Villarreal in La Liga have not been great. We Man United beat them twice. So come on, how good can you be? It's super disappointing, and I think you said a few weeks ago that we were hanging our hat on Bayern to be the upsetters in this tournament and to knock out
We kind of
either
were, weren't
Liverpool
we?
or Man City, and now we're relying on the evil Real Madrid to do something for us.
Yeah,
Because Villarreal aren't going to beat. They got Man City, haven't they?
yeah. I don't expect them to. I mean, Villarreal are a sort of softer version of Atletico, aren't they?
Yeah.
That was amazing, the Atletico City game, just for the fighting. It was great. And I do love commentators going, these are not the scenes we want to see. These are exactly the scenes we want to see.
Exactly.
Like, back to fan culture. A bit of fisticuffs is great.
I don't know what it was like on the American feed, but BT Sport was so sanctimonious. I couldn't believe what I was listening to. It was like you were watching like a trial of like Jimmy Savile or whatever, and it was a news reporter doing like the commentary over that. It was like what, like, and they were like, Darren Fletcher was going absolutely mental at Savic for what he did to Foden on the floor.
Yeah,
which was a little, it kind of like dragged him a little bit. And then when he he was going mad. He was like, "Oh my god, how has Savage not been sent? Oh, that is absolutely disgraceful." And then they showed the replay, and it was like him dragging him about 2 foot, and then he kind of like shut up a little bit. But they would not stop being so sanctimonious. It was amazing to watch. It was like so fun. Like I saw loads of people getting angry on Twitter and stuff. It's like, come on, it's just a game. It's like, it was great entertainment.
it was great entertainment. It was, especially because Atletico dish it out and can't take it. By the looks of it, they all lost their.
Exactly, it's great. It's like just watching a child. It's like watching a child have a tantrum, and like, it's just beautiful. Like, they're going mad, and like they can't take a little bit of criticism, or like a bully when he gets like thrown back against him. They just can't take it. It's beautiful. Like, football doesn't always have to be like Man City versus Liverpool was in the Premier League, like with a week where it was like end-to-end football, but there's like, it's just all nice and like the managers are being lovely to each other. We need a bit of hatred every now and again. Like, it's great fun.
That was absolutely nauseating, that Liverpool City game. Yeah.
That Atletico game was just awesome. Like, everything you want from a football game, in my opinion.
Yeah, Liverpool.
Apart from Atletico not knocking them out.
Apart from Atletico not knocking them out, yeah, which is a shame. Liverpool won comfortably. They rested a bunch of players as well. I guess, it's a calculated risk, but Benfica aren't particularly good. So and then Real Madrid. I mean, Chelsea blew their opportunities. I think they controlled most of both games, basically, but partly not taking their chances, and Benzema taking the chances, basically, while why a flawed Real Madrid side is through the semis. So.
Yeah, I just can't see them being doing enough to knock out Liverpool.
Seems unlikely. But we got my goal for this season is for City and Liverpool to win as few trophies as possible. So
that is literally it, isn't it?
It really is. So the treble's gone for City, but unfortunately the quadruple is still on for Liverpool. Just end the world now if that happens. But so yeah, hopefully one of Chelsea or Palace do it in the Cup, FA Cup, and hopefully City win the Premier League, which still looks like marginally the favourites to do that. And I guess we're banking on Real or Villarreal to win the Champions League. What
does make me positive about Real Madrid is their transitions are amazing. And they can be so clinical. Like, Benzema's link-up play is unbelievable. Obviously, his finishing gets talked about all the time, but his link-up play is just superb. Like, Vinicius Junior, when he's fully on it, is awesome. Modric and Kroos, they just can slice through other midfields, especially in transition, so well. So they're so clean getting to the final third and scoring that even if they are being battered in the game, they only need 2 or 3 opportunities to truly put Liverpool to the sword. So it's 100% possible. Like, Real Madrid I feel like they've just been underestimated throughout this European campaign. Like, every single time they won it, they were always underestimated, but they're wily old foxes, and Ancelotti's won the Champions League with them before. He's won the Champions League with Milan. Like, he knows what he's doing, and it's not yeah, all hope is not lost, I don't think, in this, from a United fan's perspective.
Yeah. In the Premier League, I don't think anything particularly significant happened this week. I mean, obviously Arsenal and Spurs both lost, so that's good for us.
Yeah, beautiful.
Yeah.
Sean Dyche lost his job.
Sean Dyche got sacked. God,
Yeah.
man, that is desperate. I mean, Burnley are in a really desperate situation. They blew their chance today against West Ham. They were leading for a while there, and West Ham got the draw, so that was a big opportunity for Burnley there. They're owned by a private equity group now who bought them and then dumped a load of debt on the club. So previously debt-free club is now got a pile of debt. Yeah, what are their saleable assets?
Cornet, that's about it.
Cornet, that's about it. Tarkovsky's going to leave on a free. I guess Ben Mee as well could be sold, and Nick Pope, the keeper. Yeah, it's definitely a Premier League standard keeper.
Yeah,
but they will have to sell because they're going to have to cut a lot. And I imagine a private equity group is there just to make money, right? That's their sole. Yeah, it wouldn't even surprise me if they did a derby and cut their losses and just put the club into administration, because I'm not sure. It typically isn't the private equity model to pour good money after bad. So you can see why they're in a desperate situation. Everton's slightly different because they're owned by a wealthy individual who's already thrown a lot of money at, so they will throw. Moshiri would throw good money after bad, I imagine, if Everton went down. But so yeah, it is pretty desperate from Burnley's point of view, and they haven't appointed a interim, right? It was the unfortunately named Michael Jackson in charge for today's game.
And I think he said, I think they asked him, what are you going to do differently? And I think he was like, we're just going to do the same as what Sean Dyche was doing. So it's like, okay, so you're basically just doing it with a less experienced manager, and I guess probably a worse motivator. Like, for all Sean Dyche's faults, like he did well at what he does well. Like he's kind of a very British manager, in the good qualities of that. Like he's super limited, but he's good at what he does, and I just don't understand why you would get rid of him. It just feels like a lot of teams do this. Like they almost like resign themselves. Like I remember when Mick McCarthy got sacked at, is it Sunderland when they were in the Prem, and then they just I think it might have been Wolves where Terry Connor just got the job, and like he lost 10 games in a row. I don't ever see why just putting a caretaker in charge is the right idea.
Just hoping for some kind of bump, but it didn't seem to me, watching what Burnley have done, is that it's a motivation problem.
No. They
lost their main striker. Fair enough, he hadn't scored a lot of goals, but it was actually quite important to their build-up style.
Yeah.
And this will be the first season of Dyche's time in charge of Burnley in the Premier League where they haven't outperformed their wage budget. So normally they are amongst the bottom in terms of wage budget, like 20th, 18th, 19th. They will be about 15th in terms of wage budget in the Premier League this season, around about, right? And they've had to pay some larger wages to keep some of their better players, basically. So this will be the first time he's underperformed that. But that tells you what a good job he's done.
Yeah.
Even if they play crappy football, he said, well, the only way to do that, with players who are basically on just above championship level wages, is to play crappy football. So
and the fans seem to
it's an odd one.
The fans seem to buy into that, and they loved him and enjoyed. They kind of go mad for that kind of football. It's not like they were crying out for, oh no, it's not the Burnley way, this kind of style of football or whatever. And I feel like going down, which they look like for all the world to do, like he would be the perfect man to get them back up again. Like it's not like you go down and like no one ever comes back. Like, look at Norwich, they just bounced back into the Premier League, and like Daniel Farke did exactly that.
Fulham are going to do it this season for sure, and probably Bournemouth.
Watford do it all the time, and yeah, exactly. So it seems like an interesting one.
Yeah, the parachute payments distort the championship completely. And now it's basically recommended as part of Tracy Cratch's review that they go away, and there's a more of a glide slope between the Premier League and the Championship. I don't know that independent regulator, if it happens, will force Premier League clubs to give up an even larger share of their money. I'm not sure that the government is going to be minded to distort what is a completely open market, basically, in football that way. We'll see whether that happens, but that's a larger financial discussion. But basically, Burnley are going to be in deep financial trouble if they go down. Watford and Norwich are in much better position in that they're basically run on an even keel. Norwich are run on an even keel, and because there was an interview on, I can't remember which pod it was on now, with one of their finance directors, which basically said, they budget for the budget they've got. If they sell a player, that's a bonus. That's why they bounce back. And they will have 3 years of financial advantage in the Championship in order to do that. So,
yeah.
Anyway, a decent segue into, I want to talk a little bit about financial fair play, or sustainability and profitability, I think it's called in the Premier League, of which the rules do neither. And the new UEFA rules and Manchester City's bending of the rules, or I don't know, that's unfair, really. They completely obliterated and cheated their way. The Spiegel put out more stuff in the last week, which is basically more internal comms on the stuff we knew already. And then they said, this is probably the last time we'll ever do a piece on this, because clearly Manchester City's lawyers have very deep pockets. Basically, in Der Spiegel, it was more comms in emails, which uncovers what they did, which was to get related party sponsors, and the sponsors didn't even pay the money. It came from the owner, which is the Abu Dhabi royal family, who paid part of the sponsorship. So City had related party sponsors, lied about it, refused to give over information, obfuscated as much as they possibly could, took UEFA to CAS and basically won because on a technicality, because UEFA didn't had a time limit built into the rules. The Premier League don't. The Premier League have been investigating, so Der Spiegel says, for 4 years on City's stuff, as well as not just the financial stuff, as well as payments to underage players, which can't happen either, but everyone knows does happen. But there are comms about that, about the paper trail.
The problem is they're too mighty, they're too powerful, they've got too much money.
They have, and them and PSG, who are now in much more powerful position in UEFA now, have, it seems like, killed financial fair play at a UEFA level, so that we're now not going to have financial fair play, and it will be a 70% of the club's budget is the cap, can be used on agents' fees, wages, and transfers. But the club's budget will include transfers in, of course, and then you take off all the stuff like youth training, capital projects, all that kind of stuff as well. So basically what it does is it caps the ability of the next Manchester City, PSG, or maybe Newcastle, we'll see, to go and spend their way to the top. It doesn't limit what's happened to date, right? City and PSG are now baked in as major players, and it doesn't do anything about the past cheating.
I guess you see this kind of thing in everyday life. You see corporations have more power than governments, and you see them just bending the rules all the time. And you would hope, and because we kind of have this naive hope that football is purer than that it wouldn't kind of happen to our game. I guess it's in certain countries. You think to Italy, there are like the Agnelli family at Juventus, who kind of have dictated that league for so many years, in Real Madrid in a similar respect. But you see, not in terms of European football, you don't want to, you hope that this would never happen, where a club can just be so powerful, they just basically play by different rules. But football have just allowed themselves to be in this position by being naive enough and greedy enough to just let states come in and rule football clubs. And what did they think was happening? Like when they just allowed Man City to come in and be bought by Abu Dhabi, when they let Qatar buy PSG, like what did they just think like that? Like a layman sometimes thinks, in like Joe Public just thinks, oh, I wonder why they're doing that. Is that kind of like was all in their head? Like,
yeah,
surely you've got to look for the deeper reasons why they are doing this, and the longer term effects of what might happen when a country as powerful and as rich as Qatar, or a state, well, Abu Dhabi is just a part of, I guess, but you let a royal family come in and do this kind of thing, like it's going to have inevitable consequences if you don't look at the longer term effects of what this might be. And they've just completely brought it on themselves. It's just, and they've clearly not even learned that after all the lobbying that so many fan groups and political commentators and human rights organizations did on behalf of not letting Saudi Arabia take over Newcastle, they still let it happen.
Yeah.
And like, where were UEFA in this? Like, the British government apparently did, well, they flip-flop, don't they? And whatever they think is right at the time. And there was a little bit of pushback with Saudi, but like, it happened. And it's going to happen again, isn't it?
It happened. Football, yeah, well, it will do. It will do until we have a reckoning. And I thought with the Russia invasion of Ukraine and the sanctioning of Roman Abramovich, that might be that reckoning, but it appears not. You know, we're a year on from the Super League, basically. Basically, it's a year this week, isn't it, that it all broke. And that's part of the reason why there was the big protest outside of Old Trafford yesterday. And nothing appears to have changed, you know. So in terms of United have keep putting out stuff about updating the training ground and Old Trafford, and apparently appointed master planners to look at what's going to be done. We'll see whether anything actually is done or whether this is all guff. There's some kind of advisory group of fans which doesn't appear to have made any difference in terms of how the club's being run at all. And then from a wider football perspective, nothing's changed. UEFA have baked in the changes to the Champions League, which gives even more leeway for the biggest clubs to fail but still get into the Champions League. There'll be more money because they've done a wider broadcasting deal. We're going to have the Swiss model, so we're going to have more crap games, and more games, so more revenue there. So those who are in the Champions League have an even bigger financial advantage than those that don't. And so it seems to be that the reckoning we thought we had, either because of Super League or because of the impact of nation-state or quasi-nation-state purchasers, has been none, basically. It doesn't make me feel very positive about the direction the game is heading, really, or United. I mean, the new financial fair play rules under UEFA, United, you know, you just count backwards. United spend about 50% of the budget on wages. That would leave, in theory, another 20%. This is back of the envelope kind of calculation. So £100 million a year to spend on players plus any sales. United should be a big dog in that kind of situation. Plus, if they can be successful on the pitch, they'll grow the commercial operation. So this bakes in the biggest clubs. They just have to execute properly, which they've never been able to do under the Glazers. But anyway, I don't feel very positive. City, I imagine, will get away with all their, the way they cheated their way into being the club they are today. And we'll see whether Newcastle can do the same thing. They have a lot of financial and profitability and sustainability rules headroom to spend money in the coming summer.
Yeah, and like when you talk about the reckoning, it's hard when the organisation and the power structures aren't that bothered. You're almost relying on the backlash to create that energy, to create that reckoning, and it's just impossible to sustain that level of energy for the fans, because like we've got our day-to-day lives to go on with. We can't just keep like this high energy going into like the protests and all that kind of thing. Like, we've got so many things that go on a day-to-day basis, like anything in society, when like the Black Lives Matter movement, or like when Sarah Everard died, and like loads of energy, like people put loads of energy into the protests and stuff, and it's superb, and it gets people talking, and it does create true change. But and the same with like the Ukraine thing at the moment. Everyone was like super energetic about that in the early days, and I'm not having a go at people for not maintaining their energy in backing these causes, but it's just impossible. And if you don't have the power structures in place who are going to aid you in this, like you can't just rely on the groundswell at the bottom, because it's not going to be sustained. There's so many things that go on, and it's just impossible to sustain that energy all the time without basically breaking yourself.
It's The thing that seems so crazy about the United situation is that all the Glazer family had to do was run the club properly. That's all they had to do.
Imagine they could be loved.
They could be loved, and they could still make plenty of money. They could still... I always look at all the press reports about United's going to buy this player and that player, and just model out United's free cash flow, take off 24 million in terms of the dividends they're going to pay themselves, and that's your budget, basically. It's right. The chances of United spending 200 million on a whole bunch of players this summer are absolutely fucking zero, unless there's a real change from the Glazers in terms of their mentality and how they run the club. But that's all they had to do. We had protests in 2005, big protests in 2010 when they took the bonds out and we got some extra detail on the debt they'd loaded on the club. We had the break-in at Old Trafford and the cancellation of a game last year, and a really big protest ahead of Norwich yesterday. It wasn't completely sustained. People were filtering into the ground before the 17th minute. It was supposed to be the time. But still, a really big protest, bigger than I think some expected. But it's not driving real and sustainable change. And that's the maddening thing. These fuckers, they just have to run the club properly. They'd make plenty of money. The asset value would go up, and United would be more successful. I don't get it.
Yeah, but it just feels almost impossible for the fans to change it. Like, what would change it? Like, they're on
an invasion every single week. Not that I'm saying they should do that, but that would make serious, because it would damage United.
It would have to be as crazy as that. Yeah.
It would have to be, yeah. Because when that happened last year, we saw it disappear. And I think sponsors would not want to be part of that.
Yeah.
And so, again, I'm not saying fans should go out and break into Old Trafford and get games cancelled, but that is the thing that would drive real change. The boycott's never going to happen. People talk about that. It's never happened. People want to see their team there. As a groundswell of United fans, there's never going to be... I don't believe there'll be a boycott. It's hard. It's we're all the addicts, and it's like telling addicts to go cold turkey. It's very, very hard. But sustained protest that has a real impact, yeah, sure, that would change the Glazers' thinking.
Yeah,
we got some lip service last season,
but that's what it is.
We haven't really seen the evidence of it. It has been lip service today. Yeah.
Direct action, and basically, almost going back to the violence, which you never want to advocate for, but like you say, there's nothing else that really will. Like, they'll just provide lip service, and then we might like temper our annoyance and anger, and like the energy will disappear for a bit, and then it will come back, and like, that's all that's going to happen, because they're unbreakable in so many respects. Like, they can just shrug and be like, yeah, they hate us anyway, so it's not like we're that bothered in regard to that. Like, it is direct action is the only thing that's going to change it. And like I said, I'm not advocating for it, but it's the only solution.
All right, so I guess we'll leave it there. Good to speak to you again, Tom. Thanks everyone for backing the pod. It's much appreciated.